Hey everyone, welcome to the J Free 906 podcast and the Curse of Oak Island series. Colin Jamieson joins here with Tom and I. Colin, how you doing, sir?
Super fantastic. We finally get some sun, but it's when the summer comes to an end is the problem.
Yes, yeah, I guess so, right? So Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
So you said the Blue Jay, how they doing?
Well, it's bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth right now, and it's not looking too good.
Okay. Brenda.
I might have to put the rally cap on here. I'm not just sure. But...
Brenda, thank you so much, Brenda. I appreciate that very much. You guys, man, I tell you, it's been kind of a rough summer. I know that when I was there in June, we had quite a bit of I'm trying to get some stuff here organized. We had quite a bit of rain at the beginning, and then nice weather for a nice stretch, and then lots more rain. So it's been a pretty rainy summer, I guess.
It has. It's like the old adage: be careful what you wish for. We had the driest spring in record, and we had wildfires in Nova Scotia. Of course, I think everyone remembers.
Yep.
We're all in the hopes and prayers that it would start raining. Well, it started raining and it never stopped raining.
Wow. The same thing here in New Brunswick. It just started and never stopped.
Yeah.
We could get a month's worth of rain in a couple of days.
Yeah, I was watching a news weather thing the other day, and then in Nova Scotia, they were going over like June, July, and August for rain. And I think we had like 270% more than the average rainfall. Wow. But we typically get some half decent rain. So it was, anyway, I made for a challenging time for the rest of us. I'm sure the guys on the island were having a bit of a time trying to deal with all the rain and with all the work that was going on in the swamp and all the digging that was going on. The rain probably was not the most helpful thing.
No, just trying to keep the garden shaft clear probably would have been a job too.
Yeah, and the swamp. I mean, they drain the swamp, and every time you get, one of these storms or even the constant rain, I mean, that just really has to slow everything down considerably, I would think.
Did they ever get the cofferdam built in the swamp? Does anybody know?
No cofferdam. Seeing all the materials that were kind of sitting, which we guessed was cofferdam. I know, Jeff, when you were out and we were being harassed by drones and perhaps a few people yelling at us on the boat.
Yeah, Scott and his drones. Yeah, I thought we were going to get yelled at because I thought they were coming to yell at us because they thought we were flying the drone. It turns out it was one of theirs.
Yeah,
because it wasn't a production drone.
I know over the last while, I know a bunch of the photos I've been posting on the Facebook site. It's got a huge, big, I don't know, I'm assuming it's a big diesel industrial water pump that's been sitting on the front of the swamp on the main road, and that's been running like all the time. They've been doing a lot of work in the swamp over the summer. Yeah, and they're still doing it. Even now up to last weekend, they're out there beating away at the swamp. So
and that's and we're going to get to that here in just a couple minutes. But I did want to say thank you, folks, for coming by here tonight. And this is our regular Wednesday night Curse of Oak Island podcast that we're going to be doing all the way through, starting last weekend and then we're going to go all the way through the end of the season. We're assuming 24, 25 episodes again this year. Well, at least we hope we get that many. But so we're going to be here every Wednesday night, 7:30, talking it up just like we always do. This week, of course, we've got Colin. Colin's going to hopefully join us many times throughout the season as time permits for his busy schedule. Yeah. And Tom, of course, is the regular standing, here helping out with the show. Appreciate that. Yep. And then we'll have other folks. Next week, we're going to have Seth Bridges is going to join us. Seth is going to jump on with Tom and I, and we're going to talk up a little bit about what's going on and everything, and just kind of love to chat with everybody. That's really what I want to do going forward until the season starts. Then I just covered up my calendar. Why did I do that? Let me reach it, grab it here. I had it all ready to go, and then I covered it up. Okay. Then we have Karen Publicover. Next week, I'm sorry, it's going to be Seth and Tom and I, and we're going to talk a little bit. That's the 11th. at 7:30, and then on the 18th we got Karen Public Cover at noon. That's
our
going to be
luncheon.
at noon Eastern, huh?
Yeah,
What's that?
that's going to be our first lunch and learn.
Yeah, first lunch and learn with Karen, and we're going to talk about her pictures and observations of people she's seen coming and going. And then that night, working out the details still, but the evening of the 18th, you're going to want. Well, I hope you're going to tune in for all of these, but we may have several special guests on the 18th. Still working out details on that, on who all was going to show up. But let's just say you're going to see some familiar faces from the island, folks. I'll just leave it at that for now until we get confirmation on everybody. But that is the 18th at 7:30. So Karen Public Cover at noon Eastern, which is 1 o'clock for Atlanta time. And then, of course, that night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have some very special guests coming upon us. So Tom and I will be there with the special guest. And then on the 25th, we have Kat, Linda, and Renee are going to join us, and they're going to be sharing, or I've already been getting some pictures emailed over to me of their things that they've done this summer, running around there at Oak Island and Tony Sampson's tours and Salty Dog Sea Tours and all of that. And then on the 1st, we got Scott Clark. So yeah, Kat, you're up. You're going to be up. So don't be eking.
Yeah, start doing your homework.
Yep, we're going to have Scott Clark is going to be with us on the 1st of November. And then the following Saturday or the following Wednesday, we'll be talking the season premiere, the 2-hour season premiere. So that's going to get us rolling right all the way into it. So man, we got a lot happening. And like I said, we're still working out some details for the 18th, but that should be you're going to see some familiar faces with us. So, and then of course Renee and Kat and Linda, you're not going to want to miss that one either. As I always mentioned there at the beginning of the show, thank you very much for all the support that I have from everyone that has helped support the show. If you would like to, and you don't already, if you'd like to help support the show, there are several ways down in the description. You can do that by buying a tumbler, buying a hat, PayPal donation, or do a super chat or something like that during the show. Like I think that was Brenda did a little bit earlier. Thank you very much. Different ways you can help support the show, and I really appreciate that very, very much. Just kind of helps to keep it all working. And that's about it for all of that. So speaking of the big storms that were going on, you guys had a hurricane. You've already been through one. And I've got a couple of pictures here. I'm going to try my best to share these because I'm using my laptop here tonight trying to get this all set up. So I'm going to show, these are some little video clips that Colin shared with us. Let's see if I can get this to roll here, and we're going to show this one. This is well, you'll have to describe. I think it's looking out into the bay. I do want to mute this so it doesn't get that muted. There we go, and bring that up. Let's make sure it comes up. There we go. All right, look at this thing. I mean, this is a storm.
Yeah.
Where exactly is this?
So this one's actually in Front Harbor in the village of Chester. So this is the main drag coming into Chester Village. It was a little windy, just a little bit.
Now this was back what, about a month ago when that first one came through?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, be just under a month.
Yeah. Now we were kind of worried, as we were last year, about some of these things happening over there, but it doesn't look like it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
It could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. I know there was the sea state, anything that was right on the ocean was pretty rough. I know there's a lot of boats got broke moorings, and there's a lot of boats on the rocks and stuff. Just even in my cove where I am here in Mahone Bay in Chester, it was a little hard on the boating population, but other than that, it was much better than anticipated.
Yeah. Oh, this picture came out really small. I just grabbed another one, but it's showing really small here. Let's see. Yeah, I can barely see it. Trying to figure out a way to make it bigger. Let's see. Oh, maybe this will help. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, that made it kind of degraded a little bit, but yeah, you can get the idea. There's a boat up there. Is that, and where is this again?
That's out in front of my house.
That's in front of your house. Oh, that's not
Get
your
off my-
boat.
No, not my boat. One
It's not
came,
Scott's boat, is it?
came from a cove just around the corner. Had made its way down from a place called Shaw Island.
Mm.
And anyway, the good news is the next morning they managed to right the boat and drug it off the rocks and kept afloat and still in. I think it was probably a little rough shape, but it survived anyway.
So it didn't have any major holes in it or anything like that.
No.
That's good. I got one more here too. Let's see. I'm gonna bring this one up. This one is, oh, it might be the same boat, different angle. Let's see here. Bear with me, folks. I'm using this laptop and I'm trying to get used to this thing here. Let's see. Make this a little bigger.
That's what the preseason games are all about, right?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly right. Preseason.
That one's actually in the town of Mahone Bay.
Oh, wow.
The marina beyond the ocean side is coming in. So and it was that's a pretty big sailboat and got put up on the shore in Mahone Bay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and then there's another clip here you sent, and I'm going to bring that up too real quick. Man, I tell you, and you have another storm bearing down on you now.
Yeah, we got a pretty good tropical storm that's supposed to hit us kind of late Saturday going into Sunday.
Sunday deal, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get a little greasy. I think it's talking 100-kilometer-hour winds.
Wow.
Yeah, that one there, that was down in the for anyone that's been in the area, so that's right off of Oak Island, so that'd be the Island View restaurant.
I've eaten there. Very nice place.
Yeah, my favorite ice cream spot.
You
can see and it got much worse than this. This was just kind of getting going, but you can see the tides and the waves and stuff come rolling in. It was
wow. Yeah, wow.
It was getting a little crazy there as the day went on, and that was just panning over. That's Oak Island in the right corner.
Yeah, right over here. Yeah.
So that's Oak Island there.
Wow. Well, I guess if you want to love the living on the ocean, sometimes you've got to deal with some of this kind of thing happening for sure.
That's right. Good news is, I'm sure Gary would have been busy because it would have took the shore and just completely turned everything on the shore upside down. When I think in a couple of photos that I had posted there, you could see a lot of the material had got pushed up onto the seawall in the swamp. Like, so that whole I guess that'd be south facing side of the island just got a lot of material and big waves and stuff on it. So anything that was hidden into the rocks certainly would have got churned up. That's for sure.
Yeah. And anybody that collects sea glass would have had a field day.
Karen public cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I know Karen was out there with Christina. They were out there collecting sea glass and all kinds of stuff and brought some back. And actually, this side right here, this little deal right there is a piece of driftwood that has a seahorse made with shells and sea glass that was found on the beaches there. So that was courtesy of Karen and public cover. So yeah. I have some beautiful stuff. But yeah, and you talk about that with Gary, and that's exactly right. Every time, and he's mentioned that many times down in Florida, same way. Whenever you get these big storms like that, especially the hurricanes, because they will come in at some points and actually remove several feet of sand off the beach. I have a hard time imagining that, but when it happens, I mean, it can remove all the sand. That's when you want to get out there with that metal detector and hit it hard because now you're closer to whatever the items might have been.
It's not just what the ocean washes out too; it's what it washes in.
Yep.
Yeah. That previous clip you showed with the Island View restaurant. See those big boulders that are there? A couple of those, like those, would get actually moved. The ocean will. So it's incredibly powerful. So I mean, anything that's in there is getting shuffled around. So yeah.
Well, let's take a look at a couple of pictures now. That now this is one that Tom and I were talking about last week. You all saw the commercial, or some of you have. I guess not everybody has seen it, but it's playing a couple of times, or once an hour, maybe, or something like that on the History Channel. And when they showed it, they were going through and talking about the muon technology, that the new data they have received and over the summer months, and it was highlighted. And I wanted to show. The picture I had last week was a little bit blue. This one's a little bit more detailed, and this was courtesy of Tom. And I want to show this one here because it's interesting. I thought that the anomalies. Now, the one that is up here, this is the one that Tom and I were talking about, is probably around the 80-foot level, or somewhere toward the bottom of the garden shaft. Was that right, Tom?
I'm guessing between 50 and 80 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then you've got these two very large anomalies that showed up down here. And one thing I'm gonna try my best here to zoom in on these, um, and then try to scooch this over a little bit.
So now, where'd you pick that off of now?
This was on a commercial, believe it or not.
This was on the promo for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
You guys got good eyes.
Yeah. So this here is interesting because it and I wanted to look at these. If you look at some of these shapes,
The straight lines. Yeah.
yeah, these straight lines, exactly, Tom. That's exactly right. Nature doesn't usually make straight lines, especially in an open space underground in the money pit.
And
Are
and,
these?
and to have a computer interpret those
Yeah,
as being straight lines. It's not a photograph, right? That's a computer interpretation. So it had to get some
correct,
pretty solid readings.
correct. Somebody asked the question, why do we not show the shafts and tunnels? My guess on that is because it is looking between the sensors. These are the 5 sensors, sensor lines that went down in there, and it's looking around them in a close proximity to them. I'm thinking that's why we don't see the tunnels that we know they have discovered. We might be seeing the edge of one, like this one here, might be the edge of one leading in.
Yeah,
And
they're
this,
gonna
Mhm.
they're gonna put different filters on the program when they run it
Yeah,
too, right? They're gonna
right.
make it not show certain things and show other things that that the sensors would pick up.
Well,
Mhm.
one thing's for sure for the season, they did a lot of digging and choice drilling. They were doing a lot more um, searcher shafts, I guess you want to call it. The choice drilling rig was doing a lot of work, and the hammer grab was pulling a lot of material out of that garden shaft.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, one of the interesting things in the commercial too, and since we've brought that up and seen the straight lines, when you read Scott's book, he's got the sort of the history of what every company did while they were there and
Mhm.
what they found on Oak Island. Great
Yes,
reference. And I was
yes.
looking through it today, trying to figure out who was there and what they found, and why in the commercial they would say these are areas of increased density or more denser anomalies,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So if you look at the work that William Chappell did, 126 feet down, right?
Mm.
He hit oak and iron, or what they believe was iron, with this drill program. What they did was they created a shaft 100 feet deep. They went down to the 90-foot level and created a drill platform.
Mhm.
And from the drill platform, same as similar to what they were doing in the garden shaft, is they set the drill up on the drill platform 90 feet down, and that's where they take their core samples from. So at
Right.
126 feet down, they brought up what they believe was oak and iron,
Mhm.
and at 153 feet, they went through what they thought was either soft stone or concrete, then oak, and then some sort of soft metal.
Yep.
So if they're in that same general area,
Right.
that would explain why we're seeing the increased density surrounding those cavities.
Correct. I agree. Yep. Exactly. Because you're talking about concrete being a very much a lot more dense than regular dirt. Going down those layers. So yeah.
And if it's mud or clay or whatever,
Right.
oak is going to be denser,
Right.
and especially if it's metal,
Yep. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
right? If you've
And
got any sort of a metal encasement or concrete encasement, that would explain your straight lines.
Yep. And what's really cool is that, and that's somebody that and they've reached out. We know that they've reached out on, for Oak Island and brought in a lot of different experts in different fields. And Terry Matheson is one of those guys who can tell you about all those densities,
Yeah.
all those different layers of dirt. And he talks about that every time they bring up a core sample and you
Mhm.
see him looking through it and going,
Yep.
okay, this is not what we're looking for. And I'm like, well, I don't know. What are you looking for? He'll explain it. But yeah, so he's the expert on looking at those different types of what Tom was just referring to, the
Mhm.
densities of the soil. Uh,
So that covers your 100, say roughly your 100 foot to 115 feet to,
Yep.
Something between 175, 150, 200,
Yep.
depending on where the sensors were placed and depending on where the height of the surface was at the time they did the drilling, right?
Right. Right.
Those guys are going to be off 10, 15 feet probably compared to what we see today anyway.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because they've added to
Mhm.
the height of the money pit by bringing in dirt
Yep.
to for the caisson.
Well, anyway, I thought that was interesting. I just saw that in Scott's book today. That's a great
Absolutely.
resource. Yep.
Yeah. Now the picture that I had before, and it was, and we were having a fun time looking at the pictures that were showing to us before. Let's see, and they did show what we think might have been a tunnel. Let me get this one over there and bring it up for you. And that is this picture right here. We'll get to the pictures that Colin took here in just a moment, but this is the one we saw from last season. This was the early muon sensor data that had come in. I think this was actually right about the end of the season. And so you can actually see what they think was one of the tunnels right here. And again, I wish we could see this side on clearly so we could tell how deep this was.
Yeah, it's
But
a 3D picture, so they've got it kind of
yeah, they're-
angled to
yeah,
their
it's
best
kind of
advantage.
angled. So we can't really see. But this was last year's. And then, of course, this year's is right there. So that's what you're looking at, the difference. And that, you're talking about the time it takes for all this sensor data to be collated and processed by these computers. It takes a long, long time.
Mhm.
And you see the difference between the months of data there. So
Yeah, they're going to overlay one set of data over top another too.
right, right. So, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for the season to get rolling and get a better look at this stuff.
Mhm.
But wanted to show that real quick before we get too far into this because I'm
Sure.
excited. I'm really excited for what's happening out there. Let's see. All right. So now, Mr. Colin, now you've been out there several times, maybe not as many times on the water like you were talking about earlier as you'd like to. How you said the boat hasn't been out as much this year
No,
because of
no,
the weather.
no. Hasn't been the best boat in summer, that's for sure.
Yeah. The one of the things that I wanted to show here too was the here we go, the swamp. Now we talked about the fact that the when I was there and we were there on your boat, Colin, we were tooled around from one side. We came over to the swamp side, the South Shore, where we got hollered at by Scott. But we were looking at that time that there was one of the excavators had a hammer on it for putting in
Yeah.
the pilings, the sheet pilings. So we know things got started. We don't know the reasons exactly why that process had to stop, but who knows? And they know on the island. We'll find out maybe someday. Hopefully, someday we'll find out what happened there. But we now know that because of your pictures and Karen's pictures that the sheet piling never did get put in on the island. And is that still your, this was just taken, this one was just taken what, on the 1st, I believe?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
That
what
was
did you see over there?
well. I mean, they've been every time I go out, they're out working at it, and they've been beating away at it literally 7 days a week. I know in previous years, Saturdays and Sundays, it was a Monday to Friday kind of production. They were doing stuff.
Mhm.
And this year they've been doing it like nonstop. If you go out there at 5 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and they're out there working. So it's so there's clearly something going on. I don't know if they just simply had a change of plans, because like you say, Jeff, when you were out there, we had all the cofferdam materials. That was the big rumor last year, that the cofferdam was going to be a big thing going
Yeah,
into
they
this
talked
year.
about it during the drilling down at the end of the season. They talked about it.
Yeah, and so it looked, I don't know what, I'm assuming that's what they were. Remember when we saw all and they're still piled there, even the same panels that we had seen earlier in the summer when you were visiting.
Mm-hmm.
Even like last Sunday, they were still sitting there in a big stack.
Yep.
And now, mind you, that excavator they had with the, I guess, what, air hammer or whatever you want to call it, mechanism, that has not been around. But the long arm excavator you see here has been. And it's really, when you're on the water looking at the island, it's kind of on the, to the right, or the money pit or paved road, or the road, paved road section is really where they've been putting a lot of effort.
Yep.
It's deceiving in the picture, but they're quite a ways back as well. Like that excavator's a fair jag back in the swamp. It's just that it's big and it's high tide. It looks kind of deceiving, but they're back there, and they've got a lot of material too. Like a lot.
It looks like that gravel on the left column. Are they using that to build up the road with, or are they pushing that back into the swamp to be able to hold the excavator up?
I can't tell. You can see the excavator, and then there's like the water pump. You see all the material up on the rocks.
Yeah.
That's from the storm. They had a lot of stuff was all pushed up and over. So
wow.
I don't know if, I couldn't really see from the angle. I don't know if they were that material is for reinforcing. Maybe the road got a little bit washed out or something from the storm, is a possibility. But they've done an unbelievable amount of work. Like it's been the swamp.
Look at the piles of black mud behind it.
Yeah,
that's from the swamp.
There's been a lot of work in the swamp, lots of work in the money pit area. Smith's Cove's been extremely quiet. But then lot 5.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff going on at lot 5. Seemingly they're more, I call it archaeological digs, as they have even the other week when I went by, they had the certain things are tarped up so you can't really see it. But they have like the tripods with the shakers in it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And you can see where they kind of had cordoned off, how Laird has like the
put the grids in,
the grids in place, so you can see where they've been working away in there.
Right.
I found it. I was thinking about it there earlier today. Because Jeff, remember on the Salty Dog Toro with Tony, and he was saying that the previous owner of lot 4, I guess it would be lot 4, lot 5.
Okay.
Remember he said, because he only had access by boat, and he had made some astronomical amount. It was like, was it 900 or 1,600 trips by boat he had made to that lot?
Yes.
Because they didn't give him, access from the mainland. So he had to literally row a boat over there every day as they were doing work.
Yeah, Robert Young.
They actually took that to court, I guess, and he lost it. So they said, find your own way on. Yeah, you can't use the causeway. Yeah,
but I guess what I'll use the words from Linda there. It fascinates me is that they're finding and doing as much stuff as they are after Robert Young had already spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Like he would have spent an unbelievable amount of time, digging, looking, poking around. I don't know how well, I don't want to stop at a place how well he was permitting and documenting and doing stuff. But I mean, he
donated a whole pile of stuff to, was it Dalhousie or Acadia or somebody?
Yeah.
He don't all of his fines, and it was hundreds of fines.
Yeah. So they're still putting a lot of effort into that area this year.
There we go.
They've been working away at that this summer as well, and they've been digging in some spots that I've been watching it for years, and they've been digging in some spots this year that I've never seen them dig before. Which is kind of cool.
And you've seen you've heard the choice people in the woods where they've never been before.
Yeah, talk about that. You mentioned that earlier. What was that all about?
Yeah, it was kind of an odd. You could see because Choice was there, and then they were gone, and they were back again, and they were doing some digging in around the garden shaft area. But then they had made their way into the wooded area. I call it kind of between from the money pit, and it kind of goes down to Isaac's Point, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yep.
And it would
Uh-huh.
be on the south side of the island,
Okay.
and it's all treed in there. But the Choice drill rig had worked its way down in there, and I couldn't see them. You could hear it. You could you could hear it in the boat.
Right.
You could see their other equipment and the trucks up there. So they were definitely drilling in there, and I had never seen them drill down there before.
Wow.
Now,
I wonder
that's
if
not
they
to say that they haven't drilled there before. It's just I personally never,
Right.
I haven't seen that
Mm.
myself.
I wonder what they would have been working on.
Would that have been an area that they would have had muon sensors in?
Well, and remember, we were debating last year on the different areas. Like they look like Muon sensors. Actually, Jeff, when you're there on the Smith's Cove side down, there were different areas we suspected they were Muon sensors. You could see
Right.
the tap and the wiring and all that stuff for it.
Right.
So I'm guessing that they were exploring some stuff from the Muon results.
Hmm?
Would be my guess. Now I have no idea.
Well, and that's a very good point, because if the muon technology was giving them some sort of a data saying there was something there, then yeah, they would definitely send out, because that's something that Steve Guptill talked about very pointedly, and I had that little clip that was showing he talked about that drill program with Choice is invaluable, because it is helping them to find these different anomalies, these tunnels, and follow a tunnel and things like that. Without it, they really don't, they're guessing. So if you have, if the muon technology is telling them, the data is telling them there's something down there, then what's the next choice? Choice drilling. Get over there and drill some holes to see if you're actually hitting those voids or, anomalous areas.
That's
Very
right.
interesting.
But it's my brother from another mother.
Yes, Mr. Jack
Hello.
Campbell. Jack,
Hello,
how you
Jack.
doing out there? Good to see you.
But I'll say another thing is, boy, they've been digging. They've been pulling a lot of material out of the ground this year. Because I think on the weekend, that thing I tried, a little mini video I had posted was the hammer grab.
Yeah, yeah.
And every weekend I go out, that thing is going. That thing is going. It's pulling. I'm assuming it's pulling material of some type is coming out of there. So
I wonder that grab. Did they ever tell us how many yards that thing would pull?
That one there is pretty small, but I don't
Yeah.
think we found out. No, I don't believe
So
we
even
did.
if it was only a
Well,
yard,
Kate,
let's
thank
say
you
it's
so
only a
much.
yard or even
No.
2 yards, and it goes up and down 50 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of material.
And they were putting it in the back of the wow. Davy Crockett, thank you so very much. I
Wow.
appreciate that.
it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much. That really helps. But yeah, there was, and I had the video, and I had it queued up here, but for whatever reason, I just have this picture at the moment. But the hammer grab, I mean, I was watching it very closely to see what if it was coming up with the what was on the end of it, and sure enough, it was the hammer grab came up, that smaller one with the guide rail on it, and then it was dumping it. We assume it's dumping it into a dump truck that was sitting there. Was one of Billy's dump trucks back there. It was dumping it into there, but I'm
Well, you
not sure.
remember the garden shaft was all wooden. I mean, they had it all retained down.
Right.
I'm super curious to see, did they start digging over and they're bringing material to the bottom of the shaft? Because this hammer grab is small. Because of course you got to be because you don't want to be banging all the sides in support of the garden shaft. So it's just going down, and there is someone in the bottom moving material to the bottom. It comes and picks it up. Because boy, I'll tell you that has been going all summer long.
The hammer grab on the crane.
Yeah.
See, that's exciting to me. And it should be for you folks too. And tell me if you agree. Because of the fact that hang on, I'll answer that here in just a second. But because of the fact that they got down there, and at the end of the season, they got down to the bottom of the original garden shaft, and then Gary got in there and hit a metal detected and got some nice hits. but then that was it. That was the end of the season. So what I wanted to see was to go on down further and see if they could intersect that tunnel that was going by, or maybe going over to the side there.
That's right.
Yeah. So if that
They
hammer
might have,
grab has been working, then that makes me feel really good.
yeah,
that
they
there's
might have
some-
gone down some because in the trailer for the season, don't they show Rick ripping off some of the boards from the bottom?
yes. Yeah. Um,
But I also suspect they went sideways. That's what they talk about that offset chamber.
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I do.
Hmm.
Yeah, Tim is asking if I have shirts. Yes, I do. I've got these right here, and they are for sale. I had a price list. I'll have to post that. I'll put that up in a post and I have some hats. The hats are embroidered. I got a couple more of the embroidered shirts left. These are printed. These are not embroidered. I have these with me out at Phenomicon. But yeah, I do have them. And I was looking at this one question here too. Have you ever heard of anyone detecting a tree and finding anything? I know I have hit rocks with my chainsaw. Yes, I have. With a metal detector, I'm assuming you mean with a metal detector, and a tree is a great place to look and check because sometimes you'll find stuff. I've actually found metal in a tree
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
before.
at our camp there last summer, Jeff, I was showing you where the clothesline had actually the tree
Yes,
grew around it.
grew around it.
Piece of metal
Exactly.
clothesline was wrapped around a tree when I was a kid, and
Yep.
the tree is now actually grown around it, and the clothesline is growing out through it.
Right. I
Awesome.
found a same thing. I found a piece of it was a piece of iron. It was like a metal iron frame, thick metal. It was leaning up against a tree, obviously when the tree was little. And then the tree formed around it, kept growing, and now the thing was like 8 feet off the ground. This thing was hanging in the tree, but the tree had grown right around it. So
I'll
yeah,
take a picture of that and a picture of the down where we used to tie our boats up years ago. We had big, probably about a half or 3/4 inch or maybe an inch chain around the base of maple trees.
yep.
And where the maple trees have now grown up, the chain has disappeared. It's actually inside the tree,
It's inside the tree. So
and it
yes,
comes out around the side of it.
yeah, you never know what you might find in a tree.
Yeah, we
Uh,
found a musket ball one time in a tree we were cutting up for firewood.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
There was actually
we'll submit that.
some
I'll take a
guys
picture
that
of that too.
found. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
So I'll take a picture of those three things and I'll post them for people to see.
Yeah, there was actually cannonballs found in a tree
Hmm. That's very
before.
cool.
Yeah, cannonballs. Go figure that. Yeah, I'll put those out. I'll put the prices of the shirts and the hats and stuff out on the Facebook group page, and I'll mention that to you all real quick. We do have a Facebook group. It is called the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch because I talk about both shows on there anyway, on that particular group. And so there's a link down below. You can click on that link. It'll take you out to our Facebook group page. We got about 31,000 members out there right now. Little over 31,000. So you can come and be a member, and I'll get these out there, the prices for the shirts and stuff. Have to add a little bit for shipping, sorry, but it does cost quite a bit to get these things shipped. But I'll put the prices out there so you guys can see that, and I'll do some sort of a banner that Linda was saying there too. So we'll get that on there for you guys. I appreciate you asking. But yeah, this is the t-shirt right here. So interesting. Getting back to this hammer grab, like I was saying, it's very interesting to know that they are continuing that, and it's good to hear you say, Colin, that it's been going all summer long because to me that is one of the absolute best places that they're. I mean, getting eyes and boots underground in the money pit was the key for Rick and
Yeah.
Marty to get down in there. So man, to see where they may be this year, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I
and
really
just to
can't wait.
maybe give people a sense of when we talk about 1 or 2 yards of gravel, people you say, well, what's a yard of gravel? Well, your average tandem dump truck would be what, anywhere from 16 to 20 yards.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, if you're hauling out 100 yards over the weekend, that's like
That's a
5
lot.
dump trucks.
A lot.
Yep. Colin, I got to
That's a
ask
lot.
you too, sir. This what in the world? Let me bring this picture up. I'm not really sure exactly. So, what exactly are we seeing here? The Knights Templar in Nova Scotia, right? What's where was this?
Well, they said you guys wanted proof. Were the Templars here? There they are. They're here.
They never left.
That's right.
They never left.
No, this time of year, every year, the in the town or village of Mahone Bay, they do a scarecrow festival, and there'll be all kinds. There'll be like 100 of these different types of scenarios of people and depictions of stuff. And anyway, I think the other week I put one when you go into the Mug and Anchor. There's a scarecrow of Gary Drayton and his metal detector, i.e. some type of broom or something, but it was pretty cool.
Or buffer or something.
And these guys, so the three churches in Mahone Bay, these Templars are kind of hanging out just outside the church. So on the other side of the road, on the water side, there's the Knight Templar and his horse are hanging out in Mahone Bay as well. So it's pretty cool sight. If you're certainly in the area and this time of the year, you gotta go down and see it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I from being up there and spending a couple of weeks in the area, you taking us around, Christina and I, and then Carmen taking us around, and then going up and spending time with Tom up in New Brunswick. I tell you, what a absolutely beautiful area, folks. I got to say, if you ever get the opportunity, I know it's not a cheap thing to take a vacation and go to Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, but wow, I just absolutely love the area. Just
And now is the time to be here in the Maritimes where the leaves are changing. We have so much hardwood.
yeah,
It's unbelievable.
yeah.
Well,
Mahone Bay was so
you
busy
better get
last.
here. But you better get here before this weekend because I think the leaves are all going to be gone.
It was so busy in Mahone Bay last weekend. I had to take the boat over. I couldn't take the car. There was nowhere to park. So we had to pull the local trick, take a boat.
Yeah. Well, that was so neat because we went out when we did Tony Sampson's Salty Dog Sea Tours, which was fantastic. And you got to do that if you go up there. You have to take that tour. We did that tour, and then we came back and we went over to your house. And you're like, oh, let's cruise into town and get something to eat. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what? No, we're going to take the boat. We jumped in the boat, went out and came around and went through. You took us all around. Just absolutely beautiful. We docked right there in town. That was in Chester, right? Was that Chester?
That was a village of Chester, yeah.
Village of Chester. We docked right there, walked in, ate lunch, came back, got back on the boat, came back out. I mean, yeah, just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I absolutely loved it. And then going around New Brunswick, when I get up there next time, and I do want to come back. I'm hoping maybe next summer I can come back up, but I want to push it a little later in the season, like Tom was just saying, maybe come up in September next time. And then I want to go and do some, I definitely want to check out Oak Island again, of course, got to do that, but also want to see more of the area. PEI, whatever, wherever else we can go and see some non-Oak Island stuff too, because the area is just so fascinating. Hi,
hey, listen, the Templar expert herself has spoken.
Yes, the Templar expert herself. By the way, if you guys haven't seen episode number 5 of the Templars that was done by Lucas and Tony, Gretchen is featured in all of them. Well, I think almost all of them, I believe. But number 5 is out. I just bought it and watched it the other day. Finally got around to it. I know it's been out for a little while, but I finally bought it and watched it the other day. Fantastic stuff. Lucas, wonderful. And of course, Gretchen, given her opinions and expertise on all of it is great. Really do appreciate that. We're going to have Gretchen back on the show too. She's going to have to come and spend some time with us on that for sure. Need to come to PEI. I want to come to PEI, Tim. I really do. I want to see it, that too when I'm up there. So, anyway, so you guys got another storm, you said, and it looks like it may not be as bad as tropical storm this time, I guess, but it looks like it's going to come into the south side.
Yeah.
I
think you're going to get eaten it.
Yeah, I think we're going to eat this one by the looks of it. Well, the thing is, if you look at a storm track, as it travels north, the right-hand side of the storm will typically get the biggest amount of wind, and the left-hand side will typically get the most amount of rain. Well, last time Nova Scotia was on the east side of it, they got pounded with the wind and we got the rain. This time, I think it's going to shift a little bit to the left, and we're going to be on the right side of the track, which means we're going to get the wind. So leaves are still on the trees. That's the big thing. It's like putting up a big sail.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. You know,
Yeah.
sustained winds are going to
You can
be
see that.
60
That's
miles an hour.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Sunday morning, Saturday. She's going to be greasy and right smash on face on the water side for us. So
yeah, she'll be a little nautical.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me get this other picture that Tom sent me here. I'll put this one up too and show you guys a little peek of what it shows. And again,
I think Saturday night's going to get a lot of sleep.
It depends on the tide, depends on the mood. If you got a high tide, a low tide, you know, a lot of variables come into play, and the storm only has to move 50 miles one way or the other, and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah. That's the one of the tracks shown right there. I know it's all blurry because I had to expand it and but I'll get this worked out. That's why we're doing preseason right now, to get all these little details worked out with this MacBook. But you can see the track is showing it right here, going in just on the south side of the Bay of Fundy. Southwest, I guess, would be just outside the opening there of Bay of Fundy.
But you know, it swings 50 more miles to the northeast, and you know, hello, Colin, we're here for a visit.
The good news is on this storm versus the hurricane that passed, the one that just passed, we had really high tides. Like for anyone that's not from Nova Scotia, like the Bay of Fundy has the highest tides in the world.
Yep.
So we get some really extreme high and low tides on the Atlantic coast. And during the hurricane, it was in Mahone Bay in Chester, where I live. It was a 2-meter regular tide, never mind storm surge and wind and all that stuff.
Yep.
Which is a significant event.
That's a high tide. Yep.
That's a very, very high tide.
Some people call them super tides, but
the good news is this weekend for this storm that's coming, it's only about a half a meter less, so it's a 1.5 meter high tide. So we should be much better than last time as far as storm surge goes, but the wind is going to be quite crazy because it's coming right bang on the Oak Island and Mahone Bay area. So
yeah, that's got to be you know, and you guys you got hit already, and thankfully it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but yeah. So no, I think we're gonna yeah, I'm glad you were, Gretchen. I really am. It was really good to see you on the TV again with the Templars show. A really good show, by the way. I encourage people. It's out on Amazon if you want to go out there. The episodes are not that all expensive to purchase, but there's 5 of them, and you can go through the whole thing. And I'm even mentioned in number 4, just simply because I was helping Luca with some doing some interviews. With some of the folks that were over abroad over in the UK. So I was helping them with that. So that was really neat. And I really appreciated that. And I loved helping them out with it. So, but a very good series, Templars, if anybody wants to check that one out. It is available on Amazon. I saw Jess Grollo out there. Hi, Jess. Jess is, she said something, I should have a kids night because Leah would love to talk. I don't know. What would Leah talk about? Would she talk about Uncle, or would she, give us the details on Oak Island? I don't know. Or maybe Poverty Island. That'd be funny to hear. But Jess is the one. And I didn't even bring it in here. I had one of my travel mugs, one of the tumblers. There she is. Picture with her and Mike, her husband, Mike, and of course, Rick. Lagina. And but yeah, she does the tumblers and she does the engraving on those. So you can order those. God only knows what she would say. Right. But it was so nice to meet her when I came by the hangar to see you guys. It was really nice. But yeah, you can order one of those travel mugs. She's got all kinds of them now. You can have there are a lot of them that are, I think there's the new one, the Eyes and Boots. Is that what it says? The new one that you've been doing lately, Eyes and Boots, and it's got the detail of Oak Island cut out on it. It's really cool. Colin, question for you. One of your videos that you took earlier this year, you could hear metal being hit with a hammer grab. Could you see if they were in the garden shaft at that point?
I know earlier in the season I I had spec because it was a funny angle. Every time you go, the tides are different. So you kind of get a little bit of a different vantage point on it.
Mhm.
It was really hard to say. At one point, I thought they were actually digging another shaft. It almost looked like they were digging a different hole, but I
Wow.
don't think that's the case. I think it was the garden shaft is where they've been keeping material, and it's a big piece. It's a fairly big piece of equipment, and all the chains and the. It almost looked like a set of yellow wings, the whole mechanism that holds the grab as it goes down. So it
Yep.
makes a lot of clanging and banging going by itself even before it even touches anything in the ground. It's a lot of metal on metal noise when you hear it in operation. So, and it's pretty soft. They're not like when they used to put the big I don't know what you call it, the big cans in the
Yeah.
ground.
Those
The big
cases.
hand grab, literally dropping and banging and grabbing
Mm.
as they were digging. This setup is much more slow grab, pick, they're dropping and it's a little bit of a slower, meticulous process as they're, I'm assuming, trying not to damage the wooden, because it's all wooden structure for that garden shaft going down. So they don't want to bang
Yeah, the big ones go down and they go bang, and that's hence the term hammer grab, right?
Yeah.
They just
This is more like
they
a
hammer themselves right
gentle
into the
grab.
soil and they bite and up they come.
Right. Yeah, and I noticed last year I was trying to figure out exactly what look when the hammer grab comes up. It looks like he's got these bars or like wings, like you said, off the side of it, and there was these posts that were sticking up out of the garden shaft, and those are actually guides.
They put
So,
guides in. Yeah.
so they could put it down in there without banging up all the wood that they just built
Right.
in the rehab of the garden shaft. So it was actually part of that thing sticking out of the side would line up and go slide down, so it keeps it relatively straight going down in the hole, and it wouldn't tear up too much. But yeah, really excited to see. And I've also heard a little bit about lot 15 going on this year. So it looks like our big takeaways that we can tell from everything is lot 5, of course. Lots of stuff happening in lot 5. We
Yeah,
saw that ourselves.
we suspected
Yeah.
lot 5 was going to be a
Mhm.
suspect after our conversation with Laird and Emma
Yep.
Yeah.
early in
Yeah.
the summer. Like, taboo topic, don't even ask.
Yeah. Yep. Lot 5, and then of course now it looks like lot 15 may have some action happening. We know that the swamp and Jack, I don't know, man, if they found we know that the muon sensors were down. At least we know there was 3 of them along the stone road there at the bottom of the swamp. We know there was at least 3 in that area there that were collecting data. Did they pick up some sort of anomaly in the swamp that caused them to then have to go in and do some excavation? I hope so. It looks that way.
Well,
But
and did they find something and didn't need the cofferdam? Because I mean, the big plan is that's a big investment was to put the
oh,
cofferdam in
yep,
to get whatever they had seen.
right.
But did they go and were able to go, oh my God, look we found. We don't need the cofferdam anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Or think of this: did they see something on the muon sensors that said, "We can't drive sheet metal down through here because we're going to cut
Yes,
right through
there you go.
something"?
There's 100%. They've spent huge money, huge resources have gone in the swamp. I mean, there's definitely. I know Rick always says the swamp is like it's the place. Like there's definitely something there.
Yep.
And I definitely think this season we're going to see something very tangible come out of the swamp. Is in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're
I
right.
agree.
Can't
Because
wait to find out what that's all about.
Marty said we're not done until we're done in the swamp.
And that takes something for him to say that because he hated the swamp. He wanted to write off the swamp, I think about season 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah.
Well, it's always been his favorite place, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping while you guys are talking on stuff, maybe on the side, I was hoping that you guys be able to do a little poll with everyone that's watching tonight.
All right.
Jeff, you made a very interesting reel the other day, and I made a comment on it. Is it about the gold or is it the history?
Yes.
What would you classify as you want to know? Who is it, gold, history, or someone could say both? But I'd be interested to see from people's comments. Is it what's the big takeaway that you're hoping that's going to?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that. We got a couple more minutes here.
Yep.
Let's just do that. Let's ask you guys, what is your
enough beer at the Mug and Anchor? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the gold? Is it the treasure? Is it the history? Or is it both? And you heard me comment on it.
Or
So
did you start off like me originally watching this thing to say, "Oh my God, is there really a treasure in Oak Island? Are they going to find it?"
Yes.
And watching every week to see if they pulled up this box of treasure. And now the treasure would be a bonus. It's about the history for me.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. I would love to see them find gold or treasure of some sort, whether it be gold, whether it be silver, whether it be manuscripts, maybe whatever, the Ark of the Covenant. I don't know, but hope they don't find the Ark of the Covenant out there.
No,
But
no.
whether it is a treasure, I'd love to see them find something, or at least proof that there was something there to
Yeah.
indicate all the work that they have done. But yes, it's the history that I really
Yeah,
uh,
to find
Love to see
an
the,
artifact of historical significance would be, I don't care
yeah,
if it's gold or not, but
yeah.
to connect the dots and to have something that would change North American history literally in my backyard would be super
that'd be
fantastic.
crazy,
That'd be
wouldn't it? Yeah.
very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
just
also go ahead, Tom.
and you could say, just think we've had it here for hundreds of years and kept it
Mm.
to ourselves.
Yeah. You buggers.
Now,
Yeah. See
now
how
the
you
secret's out.
Well, I did want to say too, somebody had mentioned something about the caissons in the money pit, and I can tell you that if they were to come across something that warranted it, they would have rock equipment and Vanessa Lucido back out there in a heartbeat to put another caisson down, whether it's in a money pit or if it's over in Isaac's Point.
Yeah,
Or
well, now they've got the tunnel. They're already down there. So are they already found it and they're digging over just to put your, why put a case on when you can go put your arms around that chest yourself?
and bring it up yourself, right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know, I know. So there you go. Well, it looks like some people say relics from the Templars. Treasure goes with the history. So that was Jan. Little on the history, and I wish they would hurry up and find the real gold. That's
Real
Tim.
gold would be cool. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The artifact of historical significance. Yes. So yeah, it looks like both. A lot of people are saying both uh, would be the
Listen,
thing for
if they
them.
dug up a UFO, that'd be cool too. I'd be down with that.
Mhm.
Oh, now we just stepped over to Skinwalker Ranch. All right. All right, folks, going to wrap it up here. It's been an hour, and I was thinking we were going to go half an hour to 45 minutes. It's been an hour, but I did want to remind you that we do have Seth is going to be with us next week. Seth
Yep.
Bridges, Tom and I, we're going to be talking a little bit more. We're going to carry on these Wednesday night shows all the way through the end of the season, sometime in probably early May. A UFO in the swamp. Oh my gosh. Yeah, say it isn't so. And then next week, that's next week on the 11th. And then on the 18th, we got Karen Public Cover at noon Eastern time. And so it'd be like 9 o'clock on the West Coast. That's early, huh? And then later that night, still working out the details, but we may have a gang of fellowship people showing up here. We'll see how we get all that worked out. That's the 18th at 7:30. And then Kat, Linda, and Renee from in the chat right here tonight are going to be joining us. They're going to share some pictures and insights of what they've seen while they've been out there. And then we have Scott Clark on the first, and then Scott in his book. And then we are going to jump right into the Curse of Oak Island the following week. So, and we're going to go with the 2-hour season premiere. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. So, yeah, a lot of things coming up. Again, thank you folks for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate that. But we will be here every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and talk about more and more and more Curse of Oak Island. Colin, thank you so much, sir, for coming here tonight. Keep up the work and the pictures. Keep them coming. We love it.
For anyone that's not a member of the group, you got to go on and join because we still got a handful of more recon missions are coming for the rest of this fall. So there'll be more stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So
You'll,
cool.
you'll see stuff on the group page you will not see any place.
I will get a picture of it.
Call and put stuff on the group page, people, that you will not see anywhere else.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely does. And we appreciate that so very much, getting him and his pictures and his insights of what's going on. Because that's one thing. You can look at these pictures and you can go, oh, that's really cool. But what are you actually seeing and hearing? And like you said about the choice drilling, working in that wooded area on the south side, heading around to Isaac's Point, I had no idea that they were doing that.
And was that before they left the island and came back?
And they
Or did
did.
they
They
leave
left
the
the
island
island.
and then get called back? I don't know.
They left the island for a couple weeks and then they came
Yeah.
back. Were they drilling someplace else that they found something? I don't
And I
know.
think, Jeff, you can attest the pictures don't do it justice when you're there in person and you can see and you can
Yeah.
smell it and you can hear all the stuff that's happening out there. It's pretty cool.
It is very cool. And then you're standing there
place.
talking to, we were on Tony's boat. We were talking to Charles Barkhouse. So he was
Yeah.
standing on the beach. Then we came around on your boat. We were talking to Scott Barlow standing there on the beach. It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. So thank you guys so very much. Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks again. We'll do this again
Pleasure.
next week. All right,
Yep.
folks. Thanks for being here. We appreciate
Thanks,
it. very
Colin.
much. And we'll
Thanks,
catch you
guys.
next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.